In today's video for Path of Exile 2, we're going to be jumping into one of the most integral parts of the game, and that's going to be your gems and exactly what all of them do. You get 3 different types of gems within this game. That's going to be your skill, your support and your spirit gems. These can really change up your build and your playstyle and are well worth knowing about, and I'm going to be going into the fundamentals and everything you need to know in order to get the most from your skills and just help you to understand the systems in place and everything that you can do within them. So the first ones we're going to be going over is going to be your skill gems. Skill gems, remember, when any of these are called uncut, it just means you haven't actually formed them into what you're after yet, but with your skill gems, these are going to be what you slot into your sockets over on the left hand side in order to give you more skills on your actual action bar. You're going to get 10 as standard, and the first one is going to be kind of a default one, whatever it is for your class, such as a mace strike or maybe a just long range spell. The rest of them, you can create these as long as you have a gem that actually is for the viable level that the actual skill is. And remember, you can always use these to upgrade your original skills if you find one that's a little bit more enhanced further down the line. So if you had one that was a 9 and then you found a skill gem that's an 11 and it's one of your favourite skills, you can upgrade that skill to make it a higher level. There are an absolute abundance of skills within the game, and these actually drop quite often, so don't be afraid to test things out, slot them into your bar and see exactly how they all work and how you enjoy them in your playstyle. Obviously, if you haven't got the level gem that's required to unlock it, you won't be able to, so you may have to wait until a little bit further in the game when you're trying to get hold of some of the skills that are located down the very bottom here. Also, much like with Path of Exile 1, don't think you're locked into just having skills that are set up for your category. So for myself, it would be the warrior, as at any time you can use other characters' skills and take advantage of those as well. However, a lot of them will be greyed out unless you unlock all of their criteria. For example, with this one, if I haven't hit the stats over on the left hand side, or if I haven't got the weapon that is needed, then I won't be able to actually use it. But there are loads that you can use in your builds. For example, if I wanted to be a warrior that summons skeletons, I can pretty much do that as long as I hit the intellect needed in order to make it work. Now, another thing that I'd highly advise with your skill gems and any gems in general is to make sure you're looking at the tags that are involved over on the left hand side. These will really help you to put a nice build together, see what works with each other really well, enhancing their damage or working off one another to do something substantial that you may not have been able to otherwise, and it's also going to help you to understand the fundamentals of the game and what some of the more complicated terms mean. Also, another great thing, if you go down to the bottom, it's going to tell you exactly what's going on with your skill and what it does, and it's also going to tell you if it's up in certain areas if you're changing the skill level of it. For example, if you look at this one, it's going to show you that when I go over to the slam part of the shockwave totem, upgrading the skill level of it actually enhances its damage. This will obviously vary from skill to skill, but it's definitely worth looking at, see exactly what's going on with your skills in order to make the best of your build. That whenever you are going to be creating a new skill, for example if I want to grab this one just here, that's going to be the seismic cry, I've got to make sure that the gem I'm using is actually of a high enough skill level to actually activate it. So for this one it needs to be at least tier 11, use the gem in order to create the skill, and then all I've got to do is slot it in over on the left hand side here. Whatever you replace will go into your inventory, so don't worry about that, and then that's going to be ready for you. And if you want to enhance it and make it even more powerful, you're just going to chuck some support gems in order to make it even stronger. However, it's not completely ready to use because you're going to want to make sure that you put it onto your actual bar, and for that you're going to need to go over to your radial dial wheel just here and then go down to your bind screen. From here, slot it into whichever part you want, depending on how you want your rotation to be and such. But once that's in, you're going to have it ready to use, start putting it into effect straight away, using it within your combat situations. Now jumping over to our support gems, these are a little bit harder to get hold of. Think of these as ways to enhance your overall skills that you're going to be using, and support gems can really help to make your skills more powerful or do additional things. They can actually be quite diverse, and once you start slotting a few of them onto your skills, you can really see the damage ramp up and them enhancing the skill and helping out your overall build. These can be anything like a standard upping of the damage of a skill, all the way to things such as better cooldowns, additional effects like bleed, a larger AoE and much more. Again, if they're greyed out, it means that you can't actually create them at this time, either due to you not hitting the certain prerequisites or the fact that you've already got it within your setup. If you want to look at a full list of everything that you can create, don't forget to scroll straight past all of your skills, and then right at the very end it's going to give you all the variations, whether it be all of your strength stuff, categorised in all of their various tiers, or your dexterity stuff, or of course your intelligence gems. All of this can really help to create a very distinct build, but remember you may want to go a kind of standardised build at the start until you've got a lot more of these gems built up and you can play around with unlocking stuff. How many and what type of these support gems that you can actually slot into your build is determined by what your overall stats are. For example, your dexterity, your intellect and your strength. As you can see here, I've mainly gone pure strength with a little bit of both of the others, probably just coming from my equipment and such. So if we pop over to the skills once again, down the bottom here is going to say your support gem capacity is strength. I can have pretty much as many as I want, up to 72 because they cost 5 per one that I'm putting on. Dexterity, I've got 4 of 4 on, so I can't have any more of those. And intellect, I'm only available to have 2 overall, because they cost 5 each and I only had 13 in my intellect. And finally, we're going to be taking a look at your spirit gems. Spirit gems are the toughest out of all of them to get hold of, so make sure you pick skills that you really want to use these on, and again, they come in levels, so you won't be able to unlock them all straight away. These, however, can really help out your character overall, giving them permanent kind of upgrades or buffs, sometimes allowing you to sustain your build a little bit better overall. These remind me a little bit of the aura skills from Path of Exile 1, and at first I'd highly recommend getting a few for your actual class in order to help out your build overall. However, once you find a few more, you can do some really cool things with these. Don't forget you can branch off and use other class skills, such as ones like you'll see right here, that are cast on certain effect, such as fire, freeze or shock. I'll be going over this in another video a little bit later on when I've kind of put a much better build together, but ultimately you'll be able to do some cool things with this, working automatically and have skills popping off in the background as you're decimating your foes. However, like I said, these spirit gems are harder to get hold of than most of the others, and as well as that, they do require a certain amount of spirit in order for you to activate them. You can get spirit on your equipment and such later on in the game, and you can also get a little bit of it whilst you play through the main campaign, defeating certain bosses. Much like your normal skill gems, you can also socket support gems into these, and don't forget, once again, go into your bind screen and make sure you actually activate these so that they're on and fully working for your character.
Overtime.
Lastly, I'm going to be going over a few things that I think you'll definitely want to know. One thing is going to be, if you have a little look over at the screen just here, it's going to tell you exactly what you can use your support gems on, so you won't kind of completely screw things up and make it so they're not actually using any effects on them. All the ones with the ticks are the ones they're going to be working on perfectly. The ones with the X's avoid like the plague because they're not going to do anything on them, and you're just going to be wasting a complete slot of your skill. Also, if you look at the skills I've got in place on the left hand side, you're going to see that you're able to unlock, when they're fully maxed out, 5 support sockets for them, as well as the actual skill in place in the first one. Your kind of default skill is the only one that you don't have to worry about this, as it levels up as you do and starts unlocking these as you progress. For the life of me, I couldn't work out exactly how that is, but by level 50 I'd unlocked one, and I believe max level's 100, so that's probably when you unlock all of them. For the rest though, you have to unlock these via a certain item, or a few items should I say, and that's going to be your Jeweler's Orbs. You get Lesser Jeweler Orbs, Greater Jeweler Orbs, and Perfect Jeweler Orbs. These are ridiculously hard to get hold of, so make sure if you're going to be investing these into a skill, it's one you're going to be taking advantage of and using throughout the entirety of your build, and you're going to need to use these in order, so one of the lesser, then one of the greater, and then one of the perfect ones, in order to unlock all sockets of that skill you're after. As well as this, when you're looking at your actual skills, if you pop down the bottom here and have a look at some of the additional details, such as the rolling slam one here, if we go across to the first slam, it's going to say additional effects from quality. You're going to want to check this out, see how it performs on all of the skills you've got equipped, or which ones you're looking forward to unlocking, and sometimes it can work on numerous of these, such as the second slam and first slam for the rolling slam. For this one, it says it's going to give it more days build up, and on this first one it's going to give you a bit more days build up once more. In order to actually build up the quality of these skills, you're going to need another item that's actually quite difficult to get hold of. I haven't even found one throughout my entire playthrough yet, so these things are definitely rare. If we go over to Rizu just here, we're going to go onto a currency exchange, and then the thing we're after is going to be your Gem Cutter's Prism. These are going to be able to improve the quality of a skill. I'm not sure exactly how much, I believe it's about 5% per one, but if I'm wrong, correct me, I'll chuck it on the pinned comment. But these are definitely going to be needed if you're trying to up the actual overall quality of your skills, even though I'd say it's definitely a massive late game thing to worry about. But this thing's definitely worth knowing about, as well as the actual currency exchange, because here you'll be able to kind of exchange some of the currencies you found within the game, and hopefully get some of the ones that you're after for a not too bad price overall. I'll be going into another guide on this later on when I look into it all a little bit more, but yeah, that hopefully covers pretty much everything. There'll be a load more content away from me, as I'm absolutely loving the game, but as always, for all things gaming, take care. I'll see you on the next day.